Hello, welcome to Intentionality episode 7, I think. I don't know. Today I'm going to be sharing my testimony. I am beginning to not feel too good. Like, I can tell that it's the beginning. I'm real cozied up here. If you're listening, you can't see, but you can see on YouTube. No makeup, my favorite Snoopy Peanuts blanket, and Luke's hoodie. Does it get any better? It is also very Valentine's vibed up. This will be posted on the 15th, so I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. It is not Valentine's Day for me yet, so I've got my favorite florals. I love florals and a candle, whole pink vibe, my coffee. Speaking of my coffee, okay, this is what my intro is going to be. Instead of having like a normal thing, I'm just going to yap to you for like a couple of minutes, so enjoy. I made a French toast latte today, and we have opened up a new door. We have opened up a new door in the coffee. So there's an update on how the at-home coffee is going. This one is probably one of my favorites. Hoping to actually finish it, but also I never finish anything when I'm talking. And I'm not talking with anyone today. It's just me. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't prep for this. I think my body might have been coming down with it yesterday because I low-key was just zoned out all day. I did get a lot done, but I did not have the capacity to sit down and like fully write an outline, which really helps me when I'm by myself. So this might be all over the place. But also with it being my testimony, I kind of thought that might be good because each time I share my long version testimony, I feel like different things come out. And I really want today's episode to just be like wherever the Lord wants to take it. I haven't shared the like quote long version of my testimony in a while. When I say that, I mean like some people will be like share like a 5-minute testimony and you kind of just put something together really quick. But sometimes there are settings where like you really dive deep into a lot of different areas, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Honestly, it's my favorite way of telling my story. The first time I told my story was in the first girls' life group that I was in. I was in for a long time, and it was when I had like fairly recently come to Christ, and so it was a lot of like crying and processing as I was saying it. I don't know, that like always sat with me, and it just felt like so much freedom in saying everything that had happened. Do I think I'm gonna cry today? Probably not. Am I gonna be proven wrong? Maybe. I've gotten really comfortable sharing my story, and honestly, I'm really excited about this, but equally like nervous because anyone ever can listen to this. I don't know, just that idea, even though I'm getting like maybe 6 views a week, like is just crazy. So if you've heard my testimony or not, I hope you get something new, or anything. But you can always ask me questions. The Intentionality Instagram is always there. DM me if you know me in person. Talk to me. I would love to chat. So I'm gonna dive right in. So, if you don't know what a testimony is basically the story of how I came to Christ. But I'm going to be going all the way back in time. So, starting from the beginning, my parents divorced when I was 2. However, I was present at the wedding. I wasn't in the womb. I was present. Pretty sure I was wheeled down the aisle in like a wagon or something. So, my biological parents' marriage was very short. I was kind of the reason for the marriage, but it just wasn't working out between them. And I honestly am glad they divorced because I'm sure if they would have stayed married, it would have been like people that were married that shouldn't have been. And so I don't really know what it's been like to have parents together, which I gave a little bit of background in not the last, couple episodes ago. Of just a little bit about me. And so I talked in there about kind of how that affected me growing up. I primarily went to church every week when I was with my mom. I had a week to week, like 7 days with my dad and my mom. So I was with them equally. It wasn't like, oh, I don't see my mom, I don't see my dad. Saw them equally, which I honestly think is a really huge blessing. They did really well in that because I had an equal relationship with both of my parents, and I think a lot of divorced kids don't always get that. And I have two great sides of family, so that was definitely a huge blessing. I remember going to church more with my mom than with my dad. My mom went to like a church, the first church that I went through, so first 18 years of my life was pretty much the same church. Was that consistent every single Sunday? Honestly, probably couldn't tell you. The most that I actually remember going starts in like fourth, fifth, sixth grade area. So kind of went there. I've always been around the things of God. My dad's side believes. We definitely like went to church and everything. I just remember going more with my mom. Pretty much everyone on my dad's side they all believe. I feel like the true like walk and everything kind of starts in what I was saying. I remember of like the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. I gave my life to Christ in fourth grade, and I do believe that that was genuine. I've always believed, loved Jesus, loved God. There's never been a doubt in my mind that like Christianity is true. But my walk looks a little bit different. And how I came to Christ, my testimony is going to be more in like when I'm 19. But I do believe that like if I would have died after I gave my life to Christ in fourth grade, I would have gone to heaven, because I truly did give it to him, and it's super vivid. We'll fast forward a little bit more towards like my freshman year of high school, kind of getting into church a little. I started tech team, and I would go to youth group, but I didn't really have friends. A lot of people at the church that I went to that were my age and stuff didn't like me. I also kind of gave more context about that a couple of episodes ago, pretty sure episode like 5 or something, about, I'm probably going to say a lot. They didn't like me. They hated me. That was what I thought. Do I think I was in the right mind space? No. Have I understood a lot more of that now that I'm older? Yes. Will I explain that later? I don't know, because we're going on a whim of our seat. Anyways, so I did get talked about a lot by them. Do I know why? No. I wasn't popular. I wasn't the smartest. So I don't necessarily know why. I just remember not having a lot of friends. I remember a youth leader that I had. I kind of talked to her about discernment a little bit, because my mom had said like, oh, you're a very discerning person. And yes, now I do know like discernment is definitely my spiritual gift. And I can probably dive into that more on a spiritual gifts episode. Hey, just got an idea. Anyways, and I remember talking to one of my youth leaders and her being like, Emma, basically essentially saying that that's dumb. So I had that. I had the youth pastor talking bad about me with the kids that were literally my age as a freshman and sophomore in high school. So very quickly I stopped going to youth group because it was more of a dread than actually getting fed. Hey, look at those bars. Anyways, coping with humor a little right now. I stopped going to youth group, but I did tech a lot. It was a much smaller setting. It was easier for me to like, I felt like if I could talk to someone, there was just like very few people on the tech team at the time during rehearses or in the tech booth. And so it was easier for me to make connections with people on the tech team when it was one-on-one, because then they could see me for me instead of what everyone was just saying about me. But a lot of people were just embarrassed to be around me. Yeah, that just led to me still being alone, even with serving on a tech team for years. And I honestly just ended up feeling pretty used, because I was on tech every week. I was always on camera. I was the go-to graphics. Like, hey, honestly, a lot of people wouldn't probably know this about me, because I don't do tech at all now. It's just not my calling. But I used to be a full-blown techie. But it turned into me going to church and honestly no one talking to me anymore. And I didn't know why. And also, kind of a little bit rewind, we're going to go back to like junior high a little bit, outside of church, more in school, personal life. At the end of junior high, best friend at the time really abruptly was just like, we need to go our separate ways. And I didn't know why. Again, another reason of like, I don't know what's happening. These people just hate me, whatever. And so that was definitely really rough, because I went into high school with no friends, and I'd already tried out for cheer, made cheer. And so it was okay. I basically should probably just hang out with these cheer people, because I don't really have anywhere else. I also dived more into that context on the episode before. I think that all of that dive in stuff starts at like 29 minutes. So if you're unclear, go listen to those 29 minutes, come back. It'll probably make more sense. So my freshman year was a little bit rough. I didn't really know anything. I was a very innocent child, an early teen. I didn't really understand anything. I kind of was just oblivious, and I think people thought that that was like funny, or I don't know. I think that that was a reason that I assumed that people hated me, but it wasn't because it was like, oh, I'm so stupid. It was like I genuinely was oblivious to so much. And I mean, you have to think about the time during your freshman year of high school, going into high school. There's like, let's just say my mom took me out of every sex ed course in school, so I didn't know quite literally anything about anything, because neither, I think that like one thing about having divorced parents is like they obviously don't really communicate. And so I think it just slipped through the cracks of me learning like anything, or like being cultured. Like I really didn't know anything. I was very much in a bubble, which in some ways has been good, some ways obviously not. But I was really self reliant. So I just think that my parents didn't think, like, oh, I should probably teach her about this kind of stuff. Just because I don't really think it crossed their mind. Like, in no way, hey, I think it's funny now. Then, I don't know. What did it cause then? I don't know. Whatever. I never had like a boyfriend or anything until like my sophomore year. I had my first boyfriend, which was very much like, I would compare my sophomore year 6 month boyfriend to like an elementary school or junior high boyfriend. Like, didn't, very innocent, barely ever saw each other, like just that kind of thing. So that we moved past, not super critical towards my faith or anything. But as I got into high school, I just kind of, I didn't ever really fall like away from the Lord. I think that the morals that Christianity taught me always kind of like remained. But the church that I'd gone to, it didn't really ever completely, I don't want to say that they didn't preach, but obviously if I went there for like almost 18 years and I never understood this, something's fishy. I like didn't understand walking daily life with Christ out. Like, I didn't understand what Christian life should look like every day. That just didn't. And I mean, I was on graphics. Like, I was pulling up the scripture every day. Like, I listened to the message multiple 3 times because I was at every service. Like, and I never got that. Whether that was God fog, whether that was curtains, whether that was it just wasn't preached well, I don't know. There's also no hate to this church because I have lots of friends that go to this church, and I think that my experience is very unique. I know that a lot of people that I had bad experiences with, other people have had amazing, and they're like parental figures. I truly like, I think that I know that they love the Lord. I know all of these things. This was my experience. This is what happened to me. I'm not saying this as a blanket statement about this church at all or these people at all. I know that the Lord can move in amazing ways, or I could have just been stupid and taking things in incorrectly, but needed to clear that up. I'm going to start around my junior year. Summer before my junior year, someone started snapping me, and I kind of got a little crush, and they went to school with me and everything, but were younger than me. And I have always been young for my grade, so I graduated at 17. I turned 16, got my license my junior year, so I started my junior year at 15, which is honestly kind of crazy to think about. I was 15 my junior year, and I quit cheer because during my sophomore year, I just was hanging out in the drama room a lot, and I had met someone named Noah. Shout out, is now my brother-in-law. Crazy, crazy. But Noah was a great friend of mine my sophomore year. We'd play Fun Run in the drama room, and I just felt a lot more accepted by people in drama, and I was doing like a lot of tech, but the reason I couldn't do shows and have parts was because of cheer and the schedules just being too much. It was very much like you have to commit to one or the other because you can't get opportunities in one if you're in the other. My sophomore year, I took a education class, like the course that would like take you that way, and I honestly was like, this is not for me. I think I'm called to teach. I don't think I'm called to teach in school and be a teacher. Immediately after, my aunt and uncle were moving into a new house, and they said something about an interior designer, and I was like, why did I never know? Like, in my head, I was like, why did I never know that was a thing? That's literally me. And there was no doubt about it from then on. I didn't even hear anything that they do. I was just like, interior designer, that's me. So my junior year, a lot of the friends that I had were doing an ROP class. I don't know what ROP stands for. All I know is basically like it's a focused 2-period class. So you have it every day where you go off campus. And the one that I was taking was very like drama tech focused. And so I got to just do a lot of design and creativity. And to me, I was like, honestly, this is more interior design, what I want to do. Also with people that I know, community. So I had friends. If you're on Spotify, I'm doing air quotes. Friends. I didn't have close friends. I didn't have community. I think is a good defining word. I had more people. So it was like, oh, I have people and I'm generally accepted. So I'm going to go there. So I did that and quit cheer. What that did for my reputation, honestly, kind of sunk it. But I didn't really care at this time because I was more like just in this drama kind of bubble. I didn't really see other people from outside of that very much, except for just like around school. But honestly, it was a really freeing time. However, I really miss doing the actual sport of cheer, just not the drama that comes with it, which is an unfortunate thing that I could talk about on a different day. I did my ROP class and I was going off campus, and I had started snapping that guy at the beginning of the year. So as this year goes on, this person was a little bit more popular but younger, which therefore led basically to them being embarrassed of me, I think, of like, oh, you like quit cheer, you're not popular kind of thing. But it was like a very much off and on, like, oh, I actually like you, and then like just completely stops talking to me and ghosts me when we're supposed to hang out. Like very much an awkward, weird dynamic with that. But I really liked them. And so all of my junior year, I went through this constant up and down of basically it being drilled into me that I wasn't enough, which if I could put a label on just what I constantly think about myself, just because I really feel like it was drilled in, whether that was actually from people or just what I was intaking, that I'm not enough. This especially really just like locked that in. When COVID hit, actually, this is a really funny story. When COVID hit, this person had asked me on a date, March 13th, 2020, asked on a date, we're going to a movie, gave me his hoodie, like full blown going crazy. Isn't this crazy how the Lord works? I feel like everyone has a March 13th story, like COVID story of like where it completely changed the pivot of your life. And I'm obviously so grateful. Yeah, obviously the date didn't happen because COVID hit, but I was like ecstatic because like, oh my gosh, like they're actually talking to me. They've talked to their parents about me. Like, oh my gosh, like there's no way this is actually happening. Like, because at this point it had been almost a year of me snapping this person and like being enough, not being enough, back and forth mental game. And he like snapped me for like probably a week into COVID. It was like the most he was ever talking to me, right? And then just like stopped completely. Like blocked me out of nowhere. And I was like, what the actual heck? What just happened? Literally from the highest high to the lowest low, which you will see is a common pattern. And I was like, there's no way. And so I was like talking to my best friend Cassidy, and I was like, there's no other explanation except for like they got a girlfriend. So eventually, through my snooping, I see they did get a girlfriend, and I became friends with someone during this time. So very much you can kind of see, and I explained in the other one of like it was an up and down, like, oh, I have this friend, and then I have this friend, like None of them were super, super solid and deep except for Cassidy. This friend was just not the best of influence. She was older than me by a little bit, like a couple of grades, and was very much into like the party and drinking boys scene. And I was just such a moldable clay trying to be accepted somewhere that just whatever she wanted to do, I went with. And this was kind of where I developed, I didn't understand that I had a choice, if that makes sense. Like, whoever I was friends with, whatever we were doing, yep, that's what we were doing. Like, I didn't consciously understand that it was like, oh, wait, I don't want to do that. Like, that just never really went through my brain, which was interesting, and we'll get to a little bit. So, during this time, the guy comes back adding me, talking to me, blocking me, adding me, talking to me, blocking me, goes on for ever. During this point in time, I just went through a lot of just trying to be whatever this girl wanted for me, and it was a lot of drama, a lot of everything. I would say, super cringy. Anyways, that was kind of when I started to really seek acceptance from boys, because obviously this one was never going to commit to me. I need to do other things. And so I really started searching the world for acceptance during this time. I didn't abandon my faith, but like honestly, for like I said before, like actual life with Christ daily was never like super taught to me. Like I didn't understand like go and read your Bible every day, and like even if I did, it would have seemed more like a box check thing. So I definitely had, I'm gonna say, abandoned my faith. I wasn't like I don't believe in Jesus, always believed in Jesus. What? Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, really started seeking acceptance through guys, and obviously is that good? No. Flash forward a little more to my senior year, still completely COVID. My junior year, the whole end of it, I didn't get like prom, XYZ, like all of the senior year activities, literally all of them gone except for prom and graduation. My senior year, have a new friend. I'm doing cheer again, but we can't stunt, unfortunately. First literal semester was online, and then I think halfway through the second semester, we were able to go into school again, but like with masks and all of the different precautions, but not everyone went back. Another slight fast flashback. My junior year, mid junior year, I think, I got braces. There starts the glow up. I got braces and it literally changed me. So I literally like went into COVID being like not ugly, just like not my best. And then came back to school in person like a different person. Like I started working out over COVID. I ended up like getting my braces off at the end of my senior year, like, but my teeth were all like straight. Like the glow up was insane. And I worked this out in therapy a little bit, but I kind of developed an eating disorder because of this. I don't think I was really conscious about it, of like, oh, I look good now and people like me. But two things happened at the same time of, oh, people are actually starting to accept me, and I'm working out and I got my braces off and I actually feel pretty. Kind of happened at the same time. And at the end of my senior year, people really started to recognize me. I had a little bit more of a personality just because I developed that a little bit over COVID, just being removed from the constant worry of if people were accepting me or not. And yeah, I just started getting this like weird wave of like being accepted, and it was really odd to me, but I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it back then. I graduate, and by January, no, even before that, I honestly just like 2 months after, I completely fell into a depression. The two friends that I'd had both moved away for school, which absolutely no hate to them. I did get one friend I had during the time, just not a good friend for me. Obviously, none of this is like godly community, and I was just seeking to be accepted, and really during this time seeking to find that acceptance in guys, because I never had a boyfriend after that one 6 month practically junior high relationship back in my sophomore year. And obviously the guy that I had really liked, honestly, I liked through all of this, was never going to actually commit to me. And I think now that I've processed, I was trying to prove to myself that I could get someone to date me. Like, I was trying to prove to myself that, like, I was capable of this. And so whether I went about that in the right way, definitely not. Was definitely seeking acceptance through them, but a lot of that meant that I was seeking it in the wrong type of men, people that didn't care about me at all and only wanted me for my body. And so I passed a lot of boundaries that I didn't want to. I never had sex because, like I said before, a lot of the morals from Christianity stayed with me. And so I was like, I want to save myself for marriage, which obviously a lot of people just completely stopped talking to me because of that. Oh, this is so like, I hate like digging back into this, but it needs to be done. January, I think, was just the absolute midst of full-blown depression. And this is January 2022. Really big in eating disorders. I developed, or I don't know how to say it, but I had bulimia. And I would do a lot to try not eat as much as possible. And I started pretty much throwing up every time that I ate. Sometimes not very much, sometimes a lot. And I was really just in the depths of it, crying all the time, still seeking acceptance from guys, trying to do absolutely anything to get out of this. It was just a really low point in time for my life. And I am really, really thankful that I had my aunt's family during pretty much my entire depression. I was spending a lot of time over there and with my cousins. And it was a really sweet time. I don't know what I would have done or where I would have been if I wasn't with them. They very much were acting as parental figures. Oh, completely missed this. My junior year, during COVID, I moved out of my mom's house. She was definitely in a mental space. We're not sure if it's physical or just because of legit insane mental stress. A lot of that story with her and why her mind was that way is not mine to share, but very much a sad time, and I am very sad that this had to happen this way. However, I am very happy for how the Lord has got to use it, and our relationship is very reconciled now. Yeah, I think we both have a lot of peace in this time in my life, but because of where her mental headspace was, a lot of it got taken out on me. And I think me being in a season of a lot of change and me becoming obviously the like moody teenager and actually, I don't know, having friends and seeking all of this other stuff, I think it was just hard for her to feel like she was losing control over me because I was consistent in her life. She had had me forever, whether it was with my dad or with her next husband. And she's, yeah, just always been really connected to me because I was always there. And so I feel like her starting to lose that was really hard, especially with everything going on mentally and just in the life that was causing all of that. So that's a little bit of a side quest of kind of where I am. And honestly, that whole season has a lot of the Lord redeeming it, and our relationship is great now. And like I said, we have a lot more peace about that situation, a lot more understanding now. So that happened. But yeah, I wasn't in the house that was taking me to church every week. And even that, there was also a lot of stuff going on with my mom in that church. So we weren't going there either, and a million different things. But that's all just side quest stuff. Look at me not going on tangents. So I wasn't at my mom's anymore. And she, even if I was there, she probably wouldn't have had the mental capacity to even understand. And that's absolutely in no hate to her, because now I understand the situation and everything that she was in now, just being older and knowing more. But I do think that time and between us needed to happen. I think the Lord has used it for good. And I think that it's helped our relationship be even better now. That happened. And so I wasn't there, and I was just spending a lot of time at my aunt's house, my aunt and uncle's house. And yeah, really grateful for that time because honestly, I probably would have been even more depressed and probably would have entered into self-harm if I wasn't there. Midst of depression, eating disorders, and I think in March-ish, April, it was starting to be like springtime, and we went to Disneyland. I went with my aunt's family and my grandma. And my grandma also is like a mother figure to me. She's also been like very consistent whether I was at my mom or my dad's, and just always really been like a mom to me. So I love her, and she's another reason for just where I am today and who I am today. Yeah, we went to Disneyland. Disneyland is one of just like my favorite places ever. And that trip in specifically really brought me out of it. Was kind of like a Kickstarter to get me out of the funk and depression that I was in, because like how do you not be happy and the happiest place on earth? And it was always been my favorite, such a special place in my heart that honestly I'll probably talk about on a different podcast episode. But yeah, it really kickstarted me out of that funk, and I started living life intentionally. I think I've talked about this in Battling Mental Lows with the second, this is the first depression that I went through. I started going to coffee shops, listening to Morgan Wallen, like intentionally doing things in my life and adding routine that really helped me get out of depression. So this was a worldly way of getting out of depression over like seeking the Lord. However, I did start Bible plans during this time. So this is like spring 2022. So now I'm just in love with spring. Every spring I'm like, I'm listening to my Morgan Wallen. I don't know. It just always brings me back to such a special place because the Lord really was moving in my life, whether I was completely living life for him or not. This is just such a sweet time in my life. I started doing Bible plans a little bit, getting back into that, and honestly just learning how to enjoy time by myself, but I was definitely still seeking attention from men. Just definitely not in the depths that I was before when I was in depression. And I was starting to feel the conviction a little bit of it. And I had made the decision of like, honestly, I'm kind of done with this. Like, I realized this was when the spirit was starting to come back in me of like, I like to kind of explain it like if there was a shell around my heart, like it was starting to crack. There were parts of me that I had never seen that were starting to develop and kind of come out in different situations. I had met a new friend, so I was living kind of like learning how to spend time by myself, enjoy it, and I got this friend that I connected with that we were actually friends in like, well, we'd have had a sleepover in like third grade or something like that because my stepdad and her mom worked together and we were at some work event and we went home and had a sleepover. She stole all of the money that I had, my entire life savings of cash that I had ever saved up were in this like jar, and she literally took all of it. Should have been my first red flag. Anyway, that was the only time that we ever like hung out at all, and we always followed each other because obviously I wasn't gonna hold something she did in third grade against her. I should have, and you'll see why. She was very much the kind of big personality that will just pick you up and take you, and I'm still a leaf. I'm still searching acceptance, and wherever I can, don't even know that I have the option to be like, no, I don't want to. Like, just very much where I was. So is this completely her fault? No, because I was just doing whatever I was told. So whatever. Yeah, big personality. The first time that we hung out, we booked tickets to go see Morgan Wallen. I had really wanted to go, obviously, because like literally the Dangerous album and everything had helped take me out of my depression. And so I really wanted to go, but I wasn't going to go to a concert alone. And so I spent 6 months knowing this concert was coming out and I didn't have anyone to go with. And so obviously the first person that was like around, I was like, yes, let's go. And she was like, yeah, I want to go. So like we literally booked tickets in a hotel to go see Morgan Wallen the first day that we hung out. Was that my smartest decision? No. Did I get murdered? No. So is it fine? Yes. Would I recommend? No. That's just like a very good example of the relationship, I guess, which I think was literally like maybe a 2-month long friendship. This all happens in the span of 2 months. 2022, insane. Begins with depression, start understanding life on my own, and then I get this friend, and here we are. We're like a week into being friends, and she's like talking to this guy, and she goes, hey, like, my friend thinks that you're cute, like, you should snap him. And I was like, honestly, and I remember saying this, which is crazy. This is the Lord working in me. I was like, honestly, I don't really care to have a guy right now. Like, I feel like the Lord is just saying, like, just be on your own. And she was like, yeah, but like, you can just snap him. And like, if you don't like him, you don't have to talk to him. Was that smart for me? No. But I'm like, she's like, honestly, like, snapping me about it so intensely. And I'm like, fine, let him add me, whatever. Adds me, starts talking to me, like, giving him the smallest of answers, honestly, kind of being a little bit sassy because I'm like, I don't care about this. And he comes to my work the next day. I was working at Starbucks. And he goes, we're going on a date. Me, didn't understand that I had the opportunity to say no. So I was like, okay. Also, I don't get asked on dates. Ever. That was probably the first date I ever got actually asked on. And I had been searching acceptance through men for years. First date I ever got asked on. So I'm like, okay. The date was very weird. I honestly didn't like him. And I was just like, but I didn't understand that, like, I could be like, oh, I don't like I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. I didn't understand that it was like, oh, whatever. The girl that I was friends with, she was talking to this. Okay, she was talking to someone. That person's best friend was the person that I went on a date with. Yeah, so basically that was the dynamic between where this was. So the friend that I was with really wanted the like double date aesthetic, right? Went on a double date. It was just very awkward because this guy was kind of a narcissist, I guess. I don't know, just very self-absorbed. There wasn't much of me talking, which I think is why it was easy for me just to dismiss a lot because I just was sitting there. I didn't have to do anything, like, whatever. But we were never, like, officially talking, definitely never, like, dating, just really because my friend wanted me to be with him. She wanted the double date thing, and the only input that I had in my life was from her. So if I was talking about him, she's obviously going to hype him up because she was friends with him and because she wanted the double date vibe. So this friend also, praise the Lord, never before this was I ever really into like the party scene, the drinking scene. But with her, I started to get into that a little bit and I got drunk one time. Not this time though. I got off work and her man or whatever, his parents were gone, so we were doing like a little hangout, and it was a glorified hangout with alcohol. There wasn't that many people there, and I didn't drink much, partially because I just didn't feel safe. I really think that the Holy Spirit had his hand over me this night, a lot, because it could have been a lot worse than it was. I just didn't really drink because I didn't feel like I should. And I wasn't around this guy most of the night because he was blackout drunk. And I actually happened to know a couple of people that showed up. So I was kind of like talking to them. They had like only known me pre-junior year. So like me actually having a personality now is like kind of huge. Kind of having a personality. My personality did not really come out until I truly like was with the Lord. But just I think trying to justify myself, just talking to them a lot. There were a couple other girls there who actually, fun fact, I'm friends with now. Hey God, you're crazy. Didn't really see him until people were kind of leaving or pairing off, as happens. And I end up basically he's like come to me now, and I'm like, I don't know. He's like blackout drunk and I'm kind of over it. I'm like, stop, honestly. Like, drink water, sober up, whatever. He hadn't had a drink in a bit, so I know that he was sobering up and I know that he can recall this. And he was like, oh, like, come to the bathroom with me, go to the bathroom. And I was like, no. Like, I'm actually not that dumb. Like, go to the bathroom by yourself. Like, and he was like, oh no, like, please, like, I'm not gonna go that way. Whatever. So I'm like, literally, this has gone on for 10 minutes. Like, whatever. I'm gonna sit on this counter and intentionally not look at you because I'm not gonna give you this, whatever you want or trying to get from me coming in here. Like, I don't understand. I haven't been in situations like this before. But I'm looking away from him and I'm like, over it, like, get this over with. I need you to go to sleep. Like, I am so done with this, basically, is what was going through my head. Which is weird because that was never things that crossed my head. Like I was saying before, like I didn't realize I had like a choice. Like this was the Holy Spirit awaking in me. He basically pushed me off of the counter and on the floor into a corner. And I got pretty violently sexually assaulted. I won't go into like details, but it was pretty bad. And I spent 20 minutes after that just zoned out. And in my mind, it was how could you let something go that far that you didn't want to go that far? It was very much my fault in my head. And I just remember zoning out. And I'm not the kind of person for thoughts to stop coming through my head. I'm constantly rolling. And I just remember no thoughts in my head. And no one was around at all. And I was so in shock that like I wasn't screaming. I just remember like trying to push him away from me. But it was one of the look in his eyes is something that I will never forget. It was pure evil. Evil. Terrifying. He was like, oh, like I'm like he's like, oh, I'm so awful. I'm so awful. Like, and I just didn't even know what happened. I just wanted him to go away. And so I literally had to like spend probably 20 minutes being like, it's fine, move on, like go. Literally had to pull, I spend 20 minutes zoned out. He pouts in the bathroom and I have to lure him out of the bathroom to go to bed. Like, come out, like, just get out of here. And then he's like, if you won't have sex with me, like, you don't like me. And I'm like, I'm not having sex with you. Great, then I don't like you. Like, go. Right? And so I finally get over this and he goes away. I finally go to sleep. And I wake up the next morning and I text someone everything about it. Everything that I remembered. And they were like, oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. I did not, like, that was just the first thing. And so I was like, oh, this is my fault. Like, I just let it go too far. Like, whatever. So my friend, the girl, wakes up and I have stress cleaned the whole house. Some things don't change. Stress cleaned the whole house. And everyone's still asleep. And so I take her into the garage. I'm like, hey, like, this and this happened last night. And she's like, what do you mean? That's what happens. Like, you guys are just together. Like, that's just normal. So reaffirmed in my head twice, you let this go too far. This is your fault. So for the next month, I kind of went on autopilot. I stopped being friends with all of them after that. I gave him a chance after. I literally brought him to a football game with my family a couple days after that, and it didn't go well. Like, I tried to like leave my hand open for him to hold, just like he didn't care. He basically went with my family so he could get into the game for free. He was complaining about having to hang out with my family because he wanted to go drink and party with people that he knew. And it just made me so infuriated. And that was when I realized, like, oh, I don't like have to. Like, I don't like this person at all. So I gave him an opportunity. I was like, we need to sit down and like talk about what happened. And he didn't care. He didn't say sorry at all. And I was basically like, this was too far for me, like, whatever. Obviously, because I thought it was my fault. I didn't realize it was assault at the time, just because of how my brain works. I remember after that being like, okay, like, whatever. I ended up ending it with him within the week after that happened, which within that week is literally sitting down and talking about it, him going to the football game with me, and then me being like, I'm done with you. I can't do this. However, the guy from my junior year that went off and on liking me and not liking me and talking to me, not talking to me, still, hey, happened to be talking to me during this time, and had broken up with the girl that he had been with. And I told him about it, and he was the only one that was like, Emma, that's not okay. And I was like, oh, no, it's just like my fault, like, whatever. So that was the only time that I'd heard, like, that's not okay, but I didn't understand. But I literally had, like, bruises down my arm from being, like, pushed off of the counter. Like, I had literal evidence. I did not look fine. Yeah, I didn't really tell like anyone really except for the people that I mentioned. Very shortly after I ended it with him and went to the Morgan Wallen concert with her, I ended all of those friendships. They were crazy and toxic, and they both began stalking me after this. They knew when I went to school, they knew when I went to the gym, they knew my routine. And so I kind of lived in fear of seeing them. I still live in fear of seeing people that I know from high school. This was pretty much, I went through September kind of just on my own. And that's the month I don't remember much of. I just kind of the only way that I can explain that month is zoned out. I don't remember much of it at all. But I remember the like shell that I was explaining around my heart breaking that night. Like me being like, no, I'm not going to. Cool, then I'm not going to. Would have never been me. That was the Holy Spirit defending me from things that could have gotten much worse than they were. And I remember thinking like, I don't know what to do with my life, but I know that the Lord wants me. I know that he's chosen me and that that's the life. This is the life that he wants. So I could definitely feel him call me back to him. And so as much as September I was zoned out, I was back in my Bible plans, but I didn't really know where to go to church just because there's crazy church wars in this town and it's stupid, but I knew that it wouldn't be healthy for me just to go back to where I was before because I was sane enough to know that that wasn't healthy for me, but I didn't really know where to go. So 5 days into October, Luke Fanko enters the picture. He technically entered the picture months before. I was working at Starbucks and he was leading a Bible study, the group of guys, and I knew a couple of the guys that were in the Bible study, I think from like that church that I'd gone to or whatever. And I knew Luke because I was friends with his brother. And so I was like, oh, that's Luke Fanko, the Noah's brother. Like I knew him. So the first day that he came in, I was actually training someone on register and I was like, oh, for Luke, like, how are you? And like, now that I know him, he was just probably like, he has ADHD. So he's like, yeah, I need to refill this money that's on my phone and I need to do this before it takes awkward. And so he's like, oh yeah, scan, walk away. And I'm like, oh great. Like anyone else from high school, like, oh, pretend like you don't know me. Like, and the people that were in the Bible study did the same thing too. So I was like, great. Like everyone else from high school. Right. And I actually didn't know that this was a Bible study. I didn't quite know what it was. But every Wednesday, by God's grace, I was on the cafe mobile bar, which is basically I was making all of the drinks for people that came in store and ordered and mobile orders. So every Wednesday I would hand him his upside down caramel macchiato. And for some reason on October 5th, I smiled at him and it caught his attention. He's locked in. So he came back and asked me for a straw. And I was like, yeah, here you go, whatever. See, in my mind though, I'm like, bruh, it's been months. Like, you're not like saying anything to me, like whatever, like any other guy. So I'm like not focused. I'm like, yeah, you have a straw, whatever. And then I was leaving as he was leaving. He held the door open for me. I went home, changed, went to the gym. I go to the gym. I was going to the gym very consistently at this time. And I see him at the gym. Like, I've never seen you at the gym. And he sits on like, there's like back-to-back machines. He sits on the other side of the machine of the other machine I'm on and still doesn't say anything to me. And I'm like, whatever. I was also in a panic attack because I saw the guy that assaulted me at the gym and I was like full-blown panic attack, whatever. So I obviously probably didn't look approachable in his defense. But he still didn't say anything to me and it was like the cherry on top. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. I have to go. So I left the gym and this invisible string of Luke and I is just insane. I could go into in a whole podcast of its own, but he had added himself to my private story that I had, and I wasn't really posting on my stories very much, but I, for some reason, just posted like a mirror picture that day. And he slid up on it and said, do you work at Starbucks? And I was like, yeah, you saw me at the gym too. And we never stopped talking. And that was October 5th, 2022. So 22, crazy year. Absolutely crazy. I met Luke. We never stopped talking. And within our little talking period very quickly. He was like, oh yeah, you should come to the well. There's like young adults and stuff, whatever. I was like, great. Someone that I can go with to church and I'm gonna like feel okay, right? And I went to the well and instantly understood daily life with God. Like I could tell that that's kind of where the Lord was like moving me, but like I instantly understood daily life with God, and my faith just completely changed. My life was living for him, not for the world. And my faith became my own. Luke brought me to the well, but I was like Christian. I had made the decision before he brought me, so I definitely am not a Christian just because of Luke. I'd made that decision before, but he did really, really help me get into community. All of the friends that I have now are because he helped me get into this life group. They were his friends, and they've all accepted me for myself, not as his girlfriend, which just has been a huge blessing. That's how I kind of got to the church that I'm at now and everything. But when Luke and I were a couple weeks into like hanging out, we basically just went to the gym all the time, literally for a month. I think that we did something besides the gym like 2 days before we actually started dating. Like our whole relationship was literally just like we'd go to the gym and then we'd talk for like hours after. But one of his friends brought to his attention, like, hey, she drunk text my friend, like, which never happened. I've found out that that friend is actually mutuals with the guy that assaulted me. So that was probably just the guy that assaulted me making up lies to make me look bad, because obviously what he did. I never was drunk enough to text anyone. Don't know where that came from. But the only thing that I could think of was that night. And so Luke brought it up to me, and I kind of started explaining that night. And as I was doing that, I started crying. And when it got to that part, I didn't have any other words to say except for sexual assault. And so that was when I realized, oh, I was like assaulted. And like that hit me, and it was crazy. I was like crying, told him about it. Obviously, he has been super great in all of that. That's when I realized, in September, I decided, like, I was like, the last thing the Lord wants for me is a guy. Like, this is my last slap in the face. Guys are not where I'm supposed to be. Like, I've been searching for this forever. Like, it's going to be just me by myself. And I swear, every time that you make that decision, the Lord's like, oh, here's your husband. Yep. Yeah. So that happened to me. And so the overlap of me coming to Christ and dating Luke is very slim. So obviously that has its, cause and effects on our relationship and, how our relationship went, which is probably a different story that will probably be Luke and I just talking about our dating relationship and everything. But that's kind of how that happened. And yeah, now post Christ, I know that I am fully loved, fully accepted, fully known. I'm not seeking acceptance from guys anymore. I do still fall into a lot of the same control, pride, as before coming to the Lord. But yeah, that is kind of how I came to the Lord. There's been just so many wonderful seasons and things that I've learned, and so much processing that the Lord has brought me through. Yeah, and I could go on with that for a long time, but that's how I came around. It was very like low. 2022 got really crazy, and before it could get out of hand, God was like, you're mine. And that's just been the sweetest thing. But yeah, definitely the mental overlap between all of that happening and processing and the Lord calling me back was a lot, but just the sweetest time ever. And yeah, I think community, especially godly community, has changed my life. I think that that's what I was seeking. I think even trying to find that in guys, because I thought that a relationship, I've always believed like a relationship, like the guy should be your best friend. Maybe not like your best, like I'm not saying don't have girlfriends. It's very crucial to have girlfriends. I was wanting a boyfriend because I thought that that would be something consistent in my life, and that would be somewhere that I would be accepted. And what my heart was just absolutely yearning for was just God and being accepted by Him and being filled by His love and surrounded by His community, is just really what my heart was seeking throughout all of this. So that's, believe it or not, the long version. There's probably so many different things that I could go on and on about this, but it's probably been one of the longer podcast episodes. But that's my story. It gets really crazy and then kind of all lands. I hope that I tied that up well. Sometimes when I start talking, I leave loose ends, but yeah, that's my story and how I've come to the Lord. There's been a million different seasons I've learned. One of the first seasons I went through as a Christian was just learning about pruning season, which I talked about on an episode with Riley, which I think was episode 4. I don't remember. 4? Yeah. Yeah, it was one of the first seasons I went through as a new Christian. And yeah, the Lord has just redeemed me so much from guilt and shame and the weights of the world. I'm just so blessed to have been brought to the Lord when I was. Sometimes I do struggle with the thoughts of oh, I had to go through all of this and now all of these parts of me are with all these people, and how it's affected Luke just makes me so upset, and that can happen, and those thoughts do try to come in sometimes, but overall, I know that the Lord is going to use every part of my story, every nook and cranny, every corner, every dark spot is going to be turned for His glory. If this is you, if this resonates with you, anything, or if you want to talk to someone, you have questions, please feel free to ask me. I would just absolutely love to dive deeper into any of these areas. But yeah, that's my story and how I came to Christ. So be encouraged. If you don't follow the Lord, or your lifestyle doesn't necessarily look like what every other Christian does, or you think that you're, quote, too far gone, you're not. I was at my farthest from Him when He called me back. It's never too late, and He's going to do great things with every single area of your story and your life. And I kind of talked about it on that episode with Riley, but there will be times when like the guy that I liked for forever, I was like, where is there going to be any good to come from this? I went years with absolutely no idea why I went through that at all. And now, after processing a lot, I do see a lot of fruit and areas that the Lord's worked in me, but there's just been a couple opportunities where I've got to pour into other people and maybe stop them from growing as far and deep into a lot of those emotions and situations that I ended up being in because I went through it. I got to pour into other people. And so there's dark areas of your life, but there's nothing that light can't change. I feel like I could keep talking, but I'm not going to. I think gotta save that for a different episode. But I am completely open to talking to anyone that has questions or, I don't know, wants to learn more. I'm here, and I'm open to what the Lord wants to use this for. So that's my story, and I will see you guys next time.